So that horror remake train is chugging right along, and this time we got Pet Sematary. As someone who hasn't seen it before, could it be that sometimes blind is better? Let's get into it.
Wow, this whole place is ours?
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Dave Cave. I, as always, am Dave. Now, today, like I said, we are covering the remake of Pet Sematary. And the reason I didn't go into this movie with eyes on the original is I was going to watch it, and I was advised by Lee over at Drum Dums, don't do that. Don't do it. Go into it blind, and then watch the original. I still have to watch the original so I can do some comparisons, but this review, purely blind, watching the 2019 Pet Sematary alone. So let's go. The Pet Sematary remake is directed by Kevin Kolsch and Dennis Widmeyer, starring Jason Clarke, Amy Seimetz, and John Lithgow. Now, all those three, I enjoyed all of them in this movie. I, in general, have enjoyed them all in cinema throughout, but I really liked all of them in this movie. I thought they all nailed their parts. I liked John Lithgow's addition as a kind of creepy, I know the backstory, but I'm gonna kind of warn you, but I'm gonna kind of be a bad influence, but I'm really a good guy, I just make bad decisions kind of guy, and I dug that. But before we get ahead of ourselves, first let's just straight up talk about the good. First off, like I said, I enjoyed the acting in this movie. I liked everybody in it and how they played it. And Jette Lawrence, who they had play Ellie, I thought she did a really good job. She was super creepy, but also so sweet. So sweet. And seeing what happens, and you know what, before we go any further than that, like I said in this thumbnail, this is a full spoiler review. We're getting it all out there, and let's just go. So like I said, Ellie, she's such a sweet character. She is played so sweetly by Jette Lawrence, and it's just heartbreaking. That scene is heartbreaking. It's one of my favorite parts of the movie because it's just so... Now, like I said, I haven't seen the original, but I know the idea that it's Gage that gets the whole in the original. They play on that in this, and I thought that was very interesting to make you think it's still going to be Gage, which is why they shouldn't have spoiled it in that damn trailer. But that is what it is, and go from there. I liked that whole scene, how that plays out, how you think it might be Gage, how you think it could be both of them. I was thinking that for a second, that could have been the head fake, that it wasn't just Ellie, that it was going to be both of the kids, and holy crap, would that have done a little bit of spin on you. Now, like I also said, John Lithgow did a great job. I enjoy watching him in pretty much anything, but I really liked him in this movie. I thought he fit that role perfectly. And Jason Clarke is another person I've enjoyed everything I've seen him in. Also does a very good job in this movie when he finally starts to break. I got it. Like, I felt it in him. Like, he did perfectly. In the acting in all of this is well done. Nobody had a weak performance at all. Easily one of the best parts of the movie is the acting. The next thing I really liked about this movie is that it uses CGI very minimally. Very minimally. And everything else is mostly practical. Everything that has to do with the people is practical. So there's a kudos to that. I like that they just went with it and they made it creepy because you can see it, not creepy because they were able to make it happen, like Pennywise coming out of the projector. They made it creepy. All the stuff with Zelda, creepy as hell. It's supposed to be, and I loved it. I also really enjoyed the concept of this movie, the idea that there was a cemetery that brings things back from, well, what we learn is kind of like hell, and how that journey changes them. Now, I know they don't go into vast extensions of how this happens, but everybody, everything, and whatever that goes to this pet cemetery, beyond the pet cemetery, comes back changed. And I like that as a concept. The other half of that, we'll get into that when we get to the bad. Now, the last little positive I had for this movie is when Rachel's trying to get back to Lewis back at the house after she had spent some time in Boston at her parents'. You see the little, dairy 20 miles from now. Some people are thinking that's kind of a hint to a larger, Stephen King universe. I don't know that really they're going to go that route. I kind of hope they don't. I think it was just a little cute little, hey, we can't put this really in the book, but we're just going to throw dairy up there because they're in Maine and well, Stephen King's from Maine, and so all of his stuff takes place there. But I like that it was just a cute little nod, and hey, by the way, it's coming out later this year. So I like that. So that right there wraps up the good, and we are jumping right into the bad. So for me, there wasn't really a lot that I didn't like about the movie. Really, the one thing that really sticks out for me, and this is just a general thing that I have with movies that do this, is the final confrontation between Lewis and Ellie. Now, you have this little girl, this 9-year-old little girl, and at this point, this grown-ass man, Jason Clarke, is not a small person by any stretch of the imagination. He has made peace with the fact that this is not his daughter anymore. He's made peace with the fact that it's over. It's done. This girl, this thing, is not his daughter anymore. It's time to end stuff. You don't then have a real physical struggle between a grown-ass man and a being that has the strength of a 9-year-old. You don't really pull that off. There's a scene she holds a knife to his throat. If you're fighting for your life, you throw her. That's not hard. I understand that there is a strength and there is a somewhat level of restraint you would think you would have having to kill your daughter. Because holy hell, that would be horrific. But he's already made it up in his mind that it's it. It's over. It's time to end this. So he goes to end it because, he saw Judd all messed up. He knows this isn't his daughter anymore. He's even at one point able to hold her down with his foot. That level of ease in holding her down. That fight shouldn't have happened. To me, when that happens, that kind of level of suspension doesn't really work for me because practically that doesn't work. You just, she's on his back and he's throwing and tossing and just throw her. Just throw her. You're infinitely stronger than this little being. It didn't make sense to me, and it kind of took me out of that whole scene. That whole scene should have been just crazy, and it shouldn't have even been. There should not have been a struggle. It should have just had him pin her down and end the fight how the fight ends. That's how it should have ended. But the fight itself shouldn't have been a real fight. She should have gone after him, should have thrown her, stepped on her chest, did his little speech, and then it'd go from there. So this next thing in the bad column for me is also kind of in the good for me, and it's kind of twisty. So it's the ending, the way it ends. To me, it wasn't a very fulfilling ending, and like I said, this is a spoiler review. So the whole family gets zombified, gets demonized, whatever the hell you want to call it. They become the bad guys, and Gage is in the car. To me, I was like, I wish it's not satisfying, but it doesn't mean that that's a bad ending. It was just not satisfying. The good guys didn't win, so to speak. And that kind of sucked. And I was talking to somebody about this earlier today. So you have Lewis and the undead family are walking up to Gage in the car. And you're like, damn it. Ellie won. Church won. They're all zombies. Holy crap, Gage is in that car. And the only person that can get to him is Lewis. And Lewis walks up to the door, puts his bloody hands on the door, and then it goes to black, and you hear the gloop gloop of the door. Whew. Gave me chills explaining it to someone else. And it gives me chills right now thinking about it. The ending was not very fulfilling, like I said, to me. I didn't like that the good guys didn't win. It happens in horror sometimes, and that's fine. It made for a good, solid ending, because the way that ends, you don't need to see Gage die. You know what happens. And holy crap, is that just horrible. Because at the very beginning, it opens with 3 minutes after the ending. You have the door open, you have the blood on the door. You know what happens. So it's a good because, very effective ending. It's bad because, well, I didn't enjoy the ending because the good guys didn't win. But I don't know really how you get a happy ending out of this one. Oh well. So that moves us right into the ugly, the kills. Now, like I said, everybody dies in this movie. All of the main characters, even the damn cat, dies. The cat obviously is the first one to go. Church. And that you don't see. It's off screen. Fine, it is what it is. The next one is Ellie. Heartbreaking death scene. Heartbreaking kill. I'm glad that they didn't gruesome it up. I'm glad that they had the trailer fall off, and then you have her in the bushes, and you have him take her. I'm glad that they didn't glorify that. I was very happy with that they kept it minimal, and that they allowed the emotion of the scene to carry that scene. So to me, that was a positive. So you move right to the next one in the movie, and that's Judd. And Judd easily has the best death in this movie in terms of just glory kill. He gets his Achilles sliced, and whew, people gasped when I saw this, and I was just, ooh, just damn, because you get stabbed in the Achilles, and you're like, okay, that's fine, and then she scalpels it open, and it just, the visual on that was just, but it was good and effective. He falls, and that just, the taunting of Ellie, of him, and then just the brutal, just stabbing that she inflicts on Judd is just, damn. So that wins for kill of this movie. And then you move into the next kill in the movie, which is Rachel, the mom, and that kill is slow and just heartbreaking because you have this demon child that has stabbed her mom, I think 3 times by the time she actually says the line, "You're not my daughter's dead." Damn. And then she gets stabbed again and dragged into the woods and buried, and she comes back. And then that kill leads us into Lewis's death, and he gets the kind of like Freddy versus Jason claw through the chest, wrought iron cross through the chest, and you're like, damn it, you wanted him to kill her. As messed up as that is, you wanted him to kill her, and he doesn't. And then he becomes one of them, which leads to the last kill, Gage. And thank God that was off screen, because damn, that would have been disturbing. And actually, you know what? Being off screen lets your mind wander. Sometimes this is a lot worse than anything they can throw at you. So, before we wrap up here, some final thoughts. Mostly for me, this movie was meh. I left it kind of like, okay. It was a horror movie. It was okay. It wasn't amazing. It wasn't a shit show. It was kind of in the middle. And that's despite the fact that I had a lot more positives than I had negatives. Sometimes it felt a little bit, too 80s. Sometimes it really got me. Sometimes the atmosphere pulled me right in. I was in. The Ellie death and the funeral following that. Oh, just heart-wrenching stuff. I welled up and almost outright cried. There's some really good parts in this movie, and then there's other kind of dumpier parts. Like I said, the Lewis-Ellie fight was like, this wouldn't happen. Throw her, kick her ass. Come on. But I will say, having seen this, I'm very curious to go back and watch the original and potentially the sequel. But for sure, I really want to see the original and see how that ends and what the differences are between them. I understand, like I said, there's the difference that it's Gage in the original and not Ellie. I'm curious if they do some kind of Gage-Lewis fight, because that will even be more ridiculous than an Ellie-Lewis fight, because Gage is a little dude. And that, I forgot to mention this, that was a great casting, because those little boys looked just like Gage from the original. So ultimately, I'd say it's worth watching. I don't know that I would go see it again. Maybe I'll own it someday. Maybe. That's still up in the air. Some movies I'm really all in about buying. Some I know I never want to see again. And I might get this. I could see it being something I could throw in. It's creepy enough. It's got good atmosphere. It doesn't really shake up things too much. But it'd probably be a good thing to throw into the old 31 Days of Halloween every now and then. So what did you guys think? Are you glad that they remade yet another Stephen King movie? Are you looking forward to it? Are you hoping that they maybe do a sequel to this movie? Maybe some kind of anthology? Not really follow the original Pet Sematary 2, but do Pet Sematary 2. Different story maybe 30 years later. Hit the comments below. Let me know. And if you think the remake train needs to stop, let me know in the comments below too, because I'm starting to feel that way. Okay, well that is going to do it for me today. Don't forget to like and share, and if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. And be sure also to check me out on Instagram and Twitter at @TheDaveCave_. I post there when I'm not posting here. Thank you so much, as always, for stopping by. Take care.